Hey, so if you can't tell by the artificial lighting that's in my room, it's pretty late. So, I got addicted to the Star Wars MMO, the Star Wars The Old Republic, all day today. Just going all out Sith on it. I also played a little bit of Mass Effect. Mass Effect's my favorite game, but this isn't about Mass Effect. I figured even though it's 11 o'clock right now, I have to put something out for you guys. And this is a really important episode too, because it's Charmander. Charmander is possibly one of the greatest starters. If he's not the first, it's at least second, because you guys know how I feel about the Bulbasaur chain of evolution. Bulbasaur's alright, he's not the best, but I mean, what are you gonna do? Charmander, I don't love Charmander himself, or herself as it were. I also don't exactly love Charmeleon, but Charizard is amazing. Charizard is possibly one of the most iconic Pokemon there is, mainly because it's the only fully evolved starter that Ash ever got. Because he kept Squirtle as Squirtle, Bulbasaur as Bulbasaur, and obviously Pikachu stayed as Pikachu. But his Charmander evolved. It evolved quite quickly, in fact, which led to Ash not being able to control it properly, which is how they integrated in the games, how the badges make a certain level Pokemon control you. Since Ash's Charmander progressed to Charizard so quickly, he didn't have the ability to control it yet. And the fact that eventually it just became incredibly loyal to him, it's just awesome. So Charmander, even though he's an adorable little lizard whose tail's on fire, Charizard is the real gem of that evolution tree. My opinion on Charmander's a really solid starter, because, I mean, I'd still say the most solid starter. It's tough, because if you want to say, like, in the video game sense, the gym order isn't really in Charmander's favor, because you start out with Rock, which isn't effective against Charmander, but it's still tough. Because Fire I'm pretty sure Fire is not very effective against Rock, obviously, because you can't really set rocks on fire unless you have, like, oil. If you put gasoline on a rock, that's a good way to set it on fire, but you can't exactly just set a rock on fire. And unfortunately, Charmander doesn't have a move called Pour Gasoline on all of Brock's Pokemon. And as well to that scenario, even after that, after you overcome Brock's gym, you better hope you have an electric Pokemon with you, because then you're just straight up with Misty. And after that, you face Surge, and then that's fine, but still, it's not very effective. And it's not until the 4th gym, with all of the bug Pokemon, or I think it's bug, it might just be grass. It's probably grass, yeah, with Celadon City, it's just grass Pokemon. But regardless, you have to wait until you get to the 4th gym before Charizard can really, Charmander, or probably Charmeleon at the time, or even Charizard depending on your leveling, can really shine. Unlike the other starters with Bulbasaur also struggles with Brock's gym a little, but then he immediately can do some damage to Misty, as well as Squirtle can wipe out Brock quite easily. But overall, even though Charmander does face a bit of hardship in the first 3 gyms, I want to say he has a longer lasting strength. Simply because when you get to, I'm pretty sure the 5th gym is Koga's gym, or Janine, depending on which game you're playing. Most poison Pokemon tend to be bugs, such as like Venomoth, or there's others, but I'm just forgetting them right now. But most poison type Pokemon also are bug as a counterpart, just because a lot of bugs are poisonous, like Ariados, or Crobat's not a bug, but still fire is kind of effective on him. And then you go to Saffron City with Psychic Pokemon, and Fire is also effective on them. It's not incredibly, but it's not a bad choice against them. And after that, you go to Cinnabar, and then it's just kind of. But then you have the diverse team in the 8th gym. So he has a longer lasting chain of being able to just be good than the others do. Because I'm tired. That was a yawn. It was a yawn. And overall, though, I think Charizard is just, I think, a stronger Pokemon overall than Venusaur or Blastoise, mainly because Charizard has incredible speed, and Fire Blast, if it knows it, is just an outstanding move. It can one-hit almost anything if it's strong enough. And a lot of Charizards, by nature, specialize in special attack, which goes into that EV-IV thing I was talking about earlier on, which, I just have to say, I'm tired. I just have to mention, my friend Richard would like me to shout him out, because he has been instructing me in the ways of the EV-IV, which is effort value. Figured out what it meant. Yeah. But overall, Charmander's pretty solid, I'd have to say. Most Pokemon, I'd say, aren't exactly that strong until they evolve. Bulbasaur's alright, Squirtle's alright, but I wouldn't say they really begin to, like, bloom into something amazing until they become like Ivysaur and Venusaur and Wartortle and Blastoise. But Charmander by himself as a basic starter is pretty good, I'd have to say. I'm pretty sure he learns Ember pretty early, and Ember over Razor Leaf and Bubble Beam, I'd pick it any day. I think Razor Leaf is the first elemental move that Bulbasaur knows, but I could be wrong. Could be Vine Whip or something. But Ember is really good, because unlike Vine Whip and Bubble, it applies a burn status effect, and that's just a phenomenal help in most fights, which is also another reason why Fire Blast on Charizard is amazing, because almost every time Fire Blast leaves a burn, I'm pretty sure it's almost 100% chance to leave a burn on your opponent. So overall, just because Charmander has early on status effects to apply to all of its opponents, it just makes it an overall solid pick, just for starters in general. Plus, if you happen to have an action replay and you want to get a really cool shiny Pokemon, Shiny Charizard is possibly the greatest shiny Pokemon ever. Charmander and Charmander are also good. As shinies, they're gold, but then it evolves into a black and red dragon, which is amazing. I have more stuff to say about the dragon aspect of Charizard in his video, but that's for another time. Now, I think I'm going to go straight into the pros and cons now. There's not exactly a lot of cons, I'd say, about Charmander as a Pokemon. I know I didn't exactly focus on his appearance this time, mainly because I don't see anything wrong with Charmander. It's a really good concept, dragon, or more like a lizard. It's slowly turning into a dragon. I'd say maybe a baby dragon with fire on its tail, and overall that's just a really strong concept. Not to say Bulbasaur isn't a strong concept, it's just Bulbasaur to me feels like they tried too hard to mix a dinosaur and a plant. It's like they just stuck a plant on its back and they're like, well, there's the Pokemon, and that's pretty much what they did. I just don't feel it's as strong as now, it is a good idea, and obviously it's sold well. There's a lot of people that love Bulbasaur and its evolution tree. Evolution tree, because it's a plant. But overall, Charmander is just a much stronger concept. It's a safe concept. It's the dragon. Dragons they've always been just a really solid concept if you want to sell something. Because if most people they relate to it because they know dragons well, because it's a common part of fantasy culture, and a lot of people are into that fantasy culture. Plus Bulbasaur was never on the... I mean, Venusaur was never on the front of a game. Well, it was. I guess, Leaf Green. And in Japan they had Pokemon Green. But, you know, we had Red and Blue here in America. No Pokemon Green in the early stages. They even had Pikachu over Venusaur. But, pros and cons. For the pros, he's really solid in fights, and has early game status effects like Ember. And its evolutionary tree is amazing. Charmeleon is a cool, strong concept too, and the fact that it's almost there at the Charizard level, and then Charizard itself is just amazing. Fire Pokemon are always abnormally strong usually, in most cases. If they're faster than a water Pokemon, they can usually one-hit it, and even though water Pokemon are resilient to their... Oh, God, stop yawning! Even though water Pokemon are more resilient to status effects against them, like if a water gets hit by grass, it's more likely to survive than a fire is when hit by a water. Fire Pokemon are still pretty resilient against those types of things, if it's on even footing with the water Pokemon. So overall, I'd say Charmander is a really strong concept. It's a strong Pokemon. It's just, overall, it's really good. For the cons, the only con I can think of is in the video game, it just takes a bit for it to become really useful. It's useful in normal fights, but in the gym spectrum of things, in the arena of Pokemon, getting Pokemon badges, it's not the greatest until Celadon City. Not to say it's bad in the other gyms. It's weak, of course, in Misty's gym since it's still low level, and at low levels, her water Pokemon will do a lot more damage to you. Since you haven't built up like any resistances on your Pokemon, since it's not that strong. Honestly, that's the only bad thing I can think of about Charmander. To be completely honest, I don't have a list like I did with every one of Bulbasaur's evolutions. Unfortunately, Charmander cannot learn Solar Beam, but I learned in Generation 4, which is to say the, I believe that's Sinnoh. Yeah, it's Sinnoh. In the Sinnoh one, Charizard can't actually learn Solar Beam, which is pretty cool. So that'll be all today. I hope you enjoyed or tonight, as it were. I'll make sure to get a Charmeleon video out earlier, so I hope you enjoy this. You'll probably be seeing it tomorrow, unless someone's up this late to see it. But that'll be all, so thanks for watching.